Everyone in that courtyard thought she was just another recruit, small, quiet, and trembling in her oversized uniform. But they didn't know what those scars on her wrists meant. They weren't from fear. They were from survival. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. The first morning at Ridgefield Military Academy was supposed to be routine, drills, introductions, maybe a little hazing. The sun hung low over the field, slicing through fog that smelled of wet iron and pine. But beneath that calm morning, something was about to break, and it started with 3 cadets who thought they ruled the place. Their leader, Cadet Major Trent Lawson, towered over the others, a self-declared king of the yard. His boots were polished like mirrors, and his arrogance shone even brighter. The moment he saw her, the quiet new girl with cropped black hair and steady, unblinking eyes, he smirked. "Hey, sweetheart," he called out, loud enough for everyone to hear. "You sure you're in the right place? Kitchen's that way." Laughter rippled through the courtyard. The girl didn't look up. She adjusted her duffel bag and kept walking, each step measured, her gaze locked ahead. But inside, she felt it. That old familiar tension building under her ribs, the one she'd spent years learning to control. Lawson stepped closer. "I said," but before he could finish, his hand landed on her shoulder. That was his first mistake. Her hand shot up, faster than anyone could track, twisting his wrist in a precise arc that dropped him to his knees. The air filled with gasps. The other cadets froze. That N01 moved. For a moment, the courtyard went silent, except for the creak of his uniform fabric and the hard breath escaping between his teeth. "Wrong place," she said quietly. Then she released him and walked away. That was supposed to be the end of it. But it never is it? By evening, the story had spread across campus. The new girl broke Lawson's wrist. Someone whispered, No, she just dislocated it," another said. "Still, man, she's insane." The academy had seen plenty of tough recruits before, but none like her. Her name was Riley Kane, 28 years old, transferred under a special training directive. What nobody knew was that before she set foot on that campus, she'd spent 6 years in the U.S. Navy, 5 of them in black operations. Her file was buried under clearance levels the cadets couldn't even imagine. But to them, she was just the new girl. And the next night, they decided to teach her a lesson. The locker room lights flickered as Riley laced up her boots. The hum of the air vents the only sound around her. Her instincts told her she wasn't alone. That slight echo in the vents, the faint scuff of rubber soles against concrete. Then came the voice. "Wrong place, remember?" Before she could turn, something slammed against her back, a chokehold from behind. 2 others grabbed her arms. She felt their laughter vibrating against her neck. Lawson's voice was sharp, angry. "You embarrassed me in front of the whole yard, you little..." But Riley wasn't hearing him anymore. She was back there, back in the sand, in that memory she tried to bury. A flash of heat, a hand on her throat, a scream she'd never finished. Her muscles reacted before her mind did. She dropped her weight low, driving her heel into one attacker's knee. A snap, a scream. She spun, slamming an elbow into another's ribs. The sound echoed like thunder off concrete. Then she faced Lawson. He hesitated. Just a flicker of fear, but enough. She stepped forward, fast, twisting his collar into her grip and driving him backward against the lockers. His back hit the metal with a crash. The fluorescent light buzzed overhead as dust drifted down. Her voice was low, almost trembling, but not from fear. "You think pain is power? Try carrying it every day and still standing straight." For a long, heavy second, nobody breathed. Then, footsteps. Commandant Briggs, the academy head, burst in, drawn by the noise. What the hell is going on here? The sight froze him. 3 cadets groaning on the ground, and Riley, calm, standing in perfect posture, eyes clear and unshaken. The investigation that followed ripped through the academy like wildfire. But when the footage surfaced from the security camera, clear as day, everything changed. Riley hadn't attacked them. She'd defended herself. Efficiently. Legally. Controlled. The commandant called her in. His tone was different now. Quieter, almost respectful. "I don't know who you really are," he said, but that was textbook precision. "Where'd you learn it?" She paused. "U.S. Navy," she said simply. "SEAL program." Advanced combat and extraction. He blinked. You were a SEAL? She nodded. Was. Until the mission that took my team. They didn't make it. I walked away. The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was reverent. Briggs leaned back slowly. Why come here? You could train anywhere. I wanted to see if discipline still meant something, she said. If honor still exists in the next generation. The next day, everything changed. When Riley walked into the mess hall, the same cadets who mocked her 2 days ago stood up. Some out of guilt, some out of awe. Lawson limped over, his wrist bandaged, pride shattered. His voice cracked. Kane, I was wrong. She studied him for a moment, her gaze softening. No, she said gently. You just never met someone who fought for real. Then she offered her hand that he hesitated. Then shook it, the tension that had hung over the academy for years lifted in that single handshake. A quiet unity replaced arrogance. Respect filled the room where mockery used to live. Weeks passed, and under Riley's watch, the academy transformed. She never took command formally, but every drill, every lesson began to mirror her example. She trained them not in brute strength, but in restraint. Not in ego, but in precision. One afternoon, while overseeing a field exercise, she saw Lawson helping a smaller cadet over a wall instead of racing ahead. She smiled, just faintly, but enough that he noticed. Later that night, as she stood by the flagpole under the stars, Commandant Briggs joined her. You know, he said, they're calling you Ghost Instructor now. No one's ever changed morale this fast. Riley chuckled softly. I'm not here to haunt them, she said. I'm here to wake them up. He nodded. Well, you've done that. But she wasn't smiling anymore. Her gaze lingered on the stars. They needed to see what honor looks like, she whispered. So did I. A month later, she left the academy quietly. No ceremony, no goodbye speech. Just a folded note left on the commandant's desk. They're ready now. That's all that ever mattered. When the cadets learned she was gone, a strange silence filled the halls. No one shouted, no one laughed. But the training ground that night was packed, every cadet running drills in perfect rhythm, as if she were still watching. Lawson stood at the front, voice steady. Discipline isn't control. It's respect, he said, quoting her words. And for the first time in decades, Ridgefield Military Academy felt alive. Because strength isn't about how hard you hit. It's about how deeply you stand for what's right, even when no one's looking. And sometimes, the quietest warrior leaves behind the loudest legacy, because courage doesn't shout. It waits, it watches, and when the moment comes, it speaks in silence. Outro, warm and engaging. If this story moved you, drop a respect in the comments below. Tell me where you're watching from. I love hearing your stories. And if you believe real strength comes from discipline, not pride, make sure to subscribe. There are more stories like this waiting for you every week.